This is revision of angles with all the key facts that you need to know about angles. Right, so the first thing you need to know about angles are measured in degrees. We write this using a little symbol above the number. So if I wanted to write 84 degrees, for example, I just write 84 with the degree symbol there. Now there's different types of angles that you need to remember. This angle here is a special one. If we have a box in the angle there, that's called a right angle. And right angles always measure 90 degrees. It's one to remember. If an angle is smaller than 90 degrees, say for example this angle, we call it acute. And acute angles are always less than 90 degrees. If it's larger than 90 degrees, like this one is, but less than an entirely straight line, then we call that obtuse. Obtuse. And that's for angles which are sized between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. 180 degrees is a straight line. If it's bigger than that, like this one, we call that a reflex angle. So any angle that's between 180 degrees and 360 degrees is called a reflex angle. Okay, and a full circle all the way around would be 360 degrees. Now you need to know things like this when you're asked to name angles, but it's also useful for you to be able to estimate and check how big angles are. Now, something that's a popular question is to be asked to work out a missing angle. Okay, so something that you need to remember is that if you've got a straight line like this one here, the angles inside it add up to 180 degrees. So for example, if we said that this angle here is 120 degrees, this one here, I'll call it A, must, when it's added to 120 degrees, make 180 degrees. So if I want to work out what that missing angle A is, I have to do 180 degrees minus 120 degrees. That's what A will be. So A is worth 60 degrees in this question. Over here, I'm going to call this angle here B, and I'm going to say if this angle here is 65 degrees, can you work out what B is? Pause the video, have a go, and then check your answer. Right, if you've had a go, you should have found out that all of this here is on a straight line, so it must add up to 180 degrees. So if you do 180 minus 65, that tells you what B is. So B is 115 degrees. Don't forget to put the degree symbol on your answer. Another fact is that if you've got the angles all the way around a point, those must add up to 360 degrees. So if I had a missing angle here called X, and I knew that this angle here was 40, this angle here was 30, and this angle over here was 170 degrees. To work out what X is, I'd have to say what's missing to make it all 360 degrees. And to do that, I'd work out what I've got already. So I've got 170, 30 and 40. If I add those up, I can see that I've got 240 degrees so far. So X is going to be 360 subtract 240, so x is 120 degrees. If I said that this missing angle over here was called y, and I told you that this one here was 150 degrees, and this angle here was 148 degrees, could you work out what y is? Pause the video, have a little go, and then you can work out what, and then you can check your answer. So we've got 150 degrees, we've got 148 degrees, so far I've got 298 degrees. I need to say what extra do I need to make 360. So to work out y, I need to do 360 subtract 298. The answer to that is 62 degrees. So y is worth 62 degrees. This fact here, opposite angles are equal, means that if I know what this one is, it's the same as this one here. So if this one here is 85 degrees, A is 85 degrees. Also, this one here is the same as that one because they're opposite on two straight lines. Okay, so this one here is, if it's 95 degrees, then I can say that B is 95 degrees. On this second example, if I said this angle here, this missing angle, I'm going to call it M. And if I said this angle here at the top is worth 110 degrees, I wonder if you could work out M, N and P. Have a little try and then we'll go through it. Right, you should spot first of all that N is the same as 110. That's an easy one to work out, 110 degrees. Now another rule that we can use here is that we've got this straight line. So 110 and M make 180. So M would be 180 take away 110. So I could say that M is 70 degrees. And then I can see that M and P are opposite each other. So I can say that P must also be 70 degrees. The next fact about missing angles is that angles in a triangle always add up to or total 180 degrees. So if I want to work out this angle here, call it T, and I know that this angle here is 75 degrees, and this angle up here is 80 degrees, I can work it out by saying T must be whatever it takes to add to 80 and 75 to make 180. So I start off by saying 80 add 75. So my total so far is 155 degrees. So T is going to be 180 subtract 155. So T is worth 25 degrees. Okay, have a little try and see if I mark this angle up here as 42 degrees, can you work out what angle W is in this question? So, angle W, we know this angle here and this angle here. This is the special one, it's the right angle, 90 degrees. So I've got 90 degrees and I've got 42 degrees so far. That adds up to 132 degrees. So W will be 180 subtract 132, so W is worth 48 degrees. Another fact is that angles in a quadrilateral total 360. Now the word quadrilateral means a shape with 4 straight sides. Okay, so if I say this one here is 85 degrees, this angle here is 92 degrees, this angle here is 75 degrees. Could we work out what this angle here, we'll call it K, is? So first step I would do is work out what I've got so far. I've got a 92 degrees, a 75 degrees, and I've got an 85 degrees. If I add those three up, I find out that I've got 252 degrees. If I then subtract that from the total, and the total needs to be 360 degrees, then I can see that K is going to be 108 degrees. If you pause the video in a second, then you'll be able to see, if you can work out what the missing angle B is up there. You see that's 45 degrees. Have a little try. Right, if you work out what you've got so far, you've got 45 degrees, 135 degrees, and 100 degrees. That adds up to 280 degrees. So to work out B, you're doing 360, subtract 280, and B is 80 degrees. Right, that's all the angle facts, but sometimes they might ask you some trickier questions which look at a combination of the facts. So, for example, you might have one that looks like this. So say that this angle here is 80 degrees. This angle here is 120 degrees. This angle over here is 95 degrees. And we want to know this one up here, X. See if you can work that out. Right, here's the answer. Okay, you don't have all 4 angles inside the quadrilateral which have to add up to 360. You would need this one. But you can work it out because you've got this angle on a straight line here. And you know that that is 95. So angles on a straight line add up to 180. If you subtract that 95, then you can work out that that missing angle is 85 degrees. And then you've got the 3 angles you need to be able to work out what X is. So if you do your 80, add your 120, add your 85, you get 285 degrees, and then X is going to be 360, subtract 285, so X is worth 75 degrees. And then the last question here, if we try this and we find that this angle here is 30 degrees, this angle here is 80 degrees, and say, actually I'm going to change my mind there, we're going to say